Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to another episode of my F1 23 My Team Career Mode. This is episode number 36 today for the Las Vegas Grand Prix in Season 2. If you guys did miss the previous one at the Belgium Grand Prix, where we had a very explosive sprint race, and then a recovery drive and a half to come back from some engine penalties, back the grid, and we saw a brand new race winner in Formula 1, and it was another last lap, last corner overtake. So definitely worth checking out. But now we head to Las Vegas for the second only time on this game. Our first time in Las Vegas was pretty eventful with 2 red flags and a wet race in that one. So I'm looking forward to this one. I'm actually looking forward to hopefully maybe some dry running in the race this time round. But we come to Las Vegas, as you can clearly see, with a bit of a different livery. Of course, Coca-Cola actually own the brand Sprite. And with the Las Vegas Grand Prix being a pretty big one in terms of the number of eyeballs on it, the people attending the race here obviously is going to be quite electric in real life later this year. I thought it would be quite fitting. It would make sense maybe that the Coca-Cola company might want to market their main drink here at this Grand Prix and take over the livery for one race only here under the floodlights in Nevada. So it's the Coca-Cola livery, throwing it back actually to when we had a Coca-Cola livery back in on F1 2021, but this one with the silver and chrome still as the mainstay of the livery kind of gives a little bit of a McLaren Vodafone vibe in a way, but obviously Coca-Cola on the side pods instead. And going into this Grand Prix, we still lead the way in the Drivers' Championship, but Leclerc, having got that podium last episode, has now closed the gap to only 5 points behind Lando Norris in the championship. So if he has one more good race, today, he could well be in the frame and someone we have to worry about in the Drivers' Championship. Up till now, we've really only ever focused on Lando properly. Others have obviously come and gone. One race, he has got podiums and looked like they've built a bit of momentum, but it's really just been myself and my fellow compatriot Lando Norris here for most of this season. But Leclerc, look at that consistency as of late in the last 3 races, hasn't been off the podium. A third, a second and a third, and Ferrari are coming good at the right time, it would seem. They started off quite well, then dipped in form, and now they're having a resurgence right to the perfect moment, you could say, in this season. And for us, it means we have to continue to focus on development as much as we can, and we're going to focus on the chassis now, because ironically, after having that issue with the aero at Baku with too much power on the car, we're actually okay on aero now. I think we're the 4th best in class. Chassis, we've slipped down a little bit, and I've noticed I think the AI are able to run softer tyres in general. I've been going to the hard tyres quite a lot, so I thought we'd go ahead and purchase the ultimate tyre upgrade, which will come in for this Grand Prix, thankfully. So that's a big boost in performance on the R&D chart for us. That gets us back ahead of Ferrari, actually, into 3rd on paper. Aston Martin lead the way. Just behind them are Red Bull. And you can see it's still pretty damn tight, though, behind Ferrari and ourselves. Mercedes, Alpine, Haas, even McLaren there, all quite tightly up. Even Williams, really, are actually gaining on this pack. And it's actually only just AlphaTauri and Sauber that are being left in the dust, as it were. And we've got 4 rounds left of this season, and we've had no inkling yet of an R&D reset into Season 3. So this may well mean we're going to have a very, very spicy and close Season 3 because there's no reset. Everyone's going to be this close from the get-go compared to this season where we've had to wait all this time, 13 rounds in to get to this point where everyone is so competitive with each other, and there's only a couple of tenths, from P1 down to, P14 in some circuits. Really depends on the track, really. And Las Vegas is one of those circuits where, because of that long straight, there's not actually a lot of places where you can gain and lose time. So like Austria, in a way, it's actually so tightly together in terms of the field spread, because you don't have as many opportunities to actually get more time over people. Obviously, I know the straight means that you have to have a good engine, but to be fair, I don't think any one team is really flagging in that department. We're no longer the best engine on the grid, but our car still goes very well in the straight line. and especially with DRS as well, because we had those 2 DRS air upgrades. So here we are then in Q1. First flying lap on the board. Not too bad compared to Ricciardo. We're ahead of him, behind Sainz and Albon though, so maybe some time to find versus those 2. And by the time we get to going on our second flying lap, we're down to P10. So definitely room for improvement. And there is going to be an improvement of about nearly 3.5 tenths there as we cross the line to go P3. But look at that. 1-2 for Aston Martin. They're top of the R&D chart. And right now it's showing in Q1. That's a little bit ominous, as we're ahead of Carlos Sainz. Lando Norris, though, right up there, still consistent as ever in P5. Leclerc flagging a little bit compared to Carlos Sainz, so he needs to pick up the pace a little bit if he wants to do well, because of course he's just come off, like I said, 3 podiums in a row. He has 1 more podium here, and he's very much maybe into the title championship contention as we go up to P7 on our first flying lap in Q2. But I can say that was on a worn set of tyres, because I actually used 2 new sets in Q1 because I was that unconfident about where we were initially in Q1. So it's meant we've had to sacrifice a little bit. So Q2, we've only got really technically 1 proper new flying lap on a new set of tyres, but you're going to see the new set's going to pay dividends for us. And actually the delta time actually kind of is going to tell us how much we're gaining on where we are right now. We're down in P14 with that scrub set. We've gained about 2.5 tenths so far, but into this next complex we're going to really gain as we're able just to roll the car through a little bit better through these corners. It's all about momentum in that section around the sphere in Sector 2, and then just using the engine to good use to pick up some more time as we run to the final bend, to the checkered flag, to the line. It's 1.2 seconds gained, and that's going to rocket us up into P1 in the session. That's what you want to see. And Ricciardo is there in second place. That is absolutely what you want to see. And after their 1-2 in Q1, Albon's had a mare. He's down in P13. Leclerc, oh no, Leclerc's had a mare. We just talked about he's 1 race away, 1 good race away from being in the championship contention maybe comfortably, and he's been knocked out in Q2. Is that the beginning of the end of Ferrari and Leclerc's little fleeting, triumph of trying to get into the championship? I don't know. There's quite a few big names, to be fair, that got knocked out. Gasly got knocked out. Ocon's the Alpine now. That is into the top 10. So we've had some resurgence from Alpine as of late, but it's going to be the other Frenchman this time that will have to try and take that blue car up to where a place it shouldn't be, really, because Gasly's knocked out. Hamilton was knocked out. Leclerc, Albon. So some big names out here. And it means that some other names that haven't featured much in the top 10 are here, including both McLarens of Bottas and Piastri, Magnussen in there as well. This is our 1 and only flying lap, by the way. We only have 1 fresh set of soft tyres at the moment. I think Ricciardo is right up there maybe for the front row. What can we do? Crossing the line. This was it. This is all we had, and it's P8. Oh, God. Wow. Only P8. Looks like so many people. Wow. Esteban Ocon. What? Ocon's on pole. Are you kidding me? The Alpine's on pole. This just shows Alpine are legitimately here now. I don't know what they've done to their car. It's not even there on the R&D chart, so it's also just the drivers as well. And now Ocon's woken up and is showing the same performance as Gasly. Pole position for the French team at the Las Vegas Grand Prix. Ricciardo on the front row, though, in second place, showing the car has much better pace. And you can see our Q3 lap time, we're maybe like 3 tenths slower than we did in Q2, so didn't make the most of it. But even that would have only got us to about P5, or maybe just scraping onto the second row. The fact that Ocon and Ricciardo are down to a 130.1 and I was only in the 130.5 in Q2, just showing that they picked up some incredible pace in the last part of qualifying. So some real big track evolution and improvements for a lot of drivers there. Our main rival in the championship, Lando Norris, on the second row ahead of us. We know Leclerc's out there outside the top 10, but P8, we've got a bit of work to do, but hopefully Ricciardo there on the front row showing we've got some good pace to hopefully go forwards, not backwards.
Tickets for this one sold out in a matter of seconds, some for as much as $1 million. There's a massive interest in Formula One in the United States, so it's no surprise we have a 3rd race in America. Welcome to the Las Vegas Grand Prix. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. A fantastic effort from Esteban Ocon yesterday, and it's put him on pole. And P2 goes to Daniel Ricciardo, a strong showing from the Australian. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Norris, Fernando Alonso, Sainz, Verstappen, Bottas, the owner driver, Oscar Piastri, Magnussen, Hamilton, Gasly, Albon, Russell, Hulkenberg, Perez, Sargent, Joe, Tsunoda, Stroll, Liam Lawson, and Charles Leclerc completes today's grid order. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today.
Right, so thankfully we are starting this Las Vegas Grand Prix in dry conditions. So for the first time on this game, I'm actually going to have a chance to kind of feel the Las Vegas circuit in dry conditions on heavy fuel in a 50% race. Because, of course, Season 1 was a washout. We went from inters to full wets, wasn't it? Or the other way around. There might be some intermediates, though, involved today, because there is a forecast for rain later in this race in the second half. So we're starting on the mediums. Most of us are. I think the vibe might be going from mediums and trying to long it out to go on to inters. Maybe some have to bail out and make a first dry pit stop, but I think if we can try and stretch these mediums to the intermediate period, when the rain comes, hopefully it does sooner rather than later, so we can go straight onto it. That will be the game plan for us. But from P8, first and foremost, just about trying to make some moves, hopefully down that long back straight as we go to 5 red lights, and we're underway for the Las Vegas Grand Prix in Season 2. A lot of movement going about for a lot of AI cars, 3 wide between the McLaren, Ferrari and Red Bull. Esteban Ocon, I think, has just about kept his lead as we're still in P8, but we managed to get down the inside of not only 1 but 2 cars maybe. Carlos Sainz, Verstappen on our outside, he makes a bit of contact with us and we slide towards the wall. Verstappen got the elbows out, we were trying to squeeze him out, but annoyingly actually Verstappen got the better of us and actually sent us into a bit of a half spin, and we've only narrowly just stayed ahead of Piastri. Our old teammate Magnussen managed to overtake us because we had to step out of the throttle so much to stop the car careering into the wall. So not the cleanest of starts. I wanted to try and get the jump on both Sainz and Verstappen. It seemed likely because Sainz, for whatever reason, Ferrari have chosen the hards. I mean, to be fair, might be a 300 IQ strategy if all of us have to come in for another set of dry tyres, and Ferrari with Sainz and maybe Leclerc, if he's on hards as well, can go all the way to the wet period. But right now, that means Sainz is very slow as we overtake Magnussen. That was into the final corner, and into turn 1, we're able to easily get Carlos Sainz, and he's actually so slow on the hards that he's been overtaken by Magnussen as well. So we're up to P7. Ferrari struggling. Meanwhile, Ricciardo on lap 2 down at the Las Vegas Strip is looking to make the move for the lead. It's Ricciardo's first time here in Las Vegas. Of course, he wasn't on this grid in Season 1, but just like in real life this year, he will get his first taste of Las Vegas right here, right now, and it's a pretty good first experience. He's just taken the lead away from Ocon. Good move on that straight, as we were just about to maybe size up a move on Verstappen, but the virtual safety car has come out. I think that's Lance Stroll and the Williams who's retired and brought out that virtual safety car. I also want to point out, by the way, it's not just Sainz struggling. Leclerc, he, having been knocked out in Q2, he actually had grid penalties as well to serve. So he started last. You would have seen that on the grid sequence if you watched it. So he's only made up places to, I think, P20 right now. I don't know if he's on the hards as well. If he is, it's a gamble by Ferrari. And as we re-engage, we're chasing after Verstappen out of VSC. I think it may be a gamble that's not going to pay off, because I actually saw some rain droplets on our onboard there in Sector 2. So the rain may be coming down sooner rather than later, as now we're watching Ricciardo lose the lead of the Las Vegas Grand Prix. Ocon into P1. This main straight's ridiculous, as Norris going through as well. Ricciardo's going to lose 2 positions. Lando Norris, our championship rival, up to 2nd place. This straight, it's even more crazy than Monza, Spa. The amount of, yo-yoing you're going to be able to do when you're in a DRS straight is just ridiculous. So I wouldn't be surprised if those 3 are swapping positions left, right and centre. For us, back on our onboard, onto lap 4. Look at the closing speed we've got on the Red Bull with DRS into turn 1. As we hit the apex, there's a droplet of rain. So the rain has already started to fall. I told you guys, the icons were showing rain halfway through this Grand Prix. I guess that forecast wasn't accurate at all, because the rain's already falling here on lap 4. So Ferrari, their choice to go onto hards, a bit futile really, because this definitely means we can go from mediums to inters. If it's starting to rain now, surely it's going to be intermediate period, you know, within the next 10 laps or so, and we can definitely take mediums all the way there. But right now we're just focused on making the most of this dry period as we are gaining, and flying by Valtteri Bottas to be neck and neck by the brake zone as we go easy because the track is getting damper. But we make that overtake on Valtteri. We were 8/10 behind him on that straight. The amount you can gain with a tow and DRS and a bit of battery on that straight is ridiculous. And to that effect, these guys are just swapping once again. Ricciardo back into second place, Norris down to third. Alonso is now actually within DRS of Norris. So it's a top 4 in a DRS train. So I might find it quite tough to catch them. I have thankfully broken away 1 second ahead of Bottas and Verstappen as they're fighting. Verstappen looking to get past the Flying Finn in the McLaren. The two jockeying for position. Yellow flags maybe. I think was there a bit of contact for someone behind us as we go on to lap 7, and it's a safety car. A full course safety car that was out, so there definitely was some sort of contact there behind. I don't think with, oh no, it wasn't with the McLaren, it was actually the AlphaTauri behind. Perez has, oh my god, Perez has taken out his own teammate there as he comes onto the circuit very awkwardly. Leclerc makes his way through and actually gets 3 free overtakes, I think, ghosting through those cars, but that's why there's a safety car, debris on circuit. But this now puts us in a very weird spot because it's lap 9 now, a couple of laps later. We're coming in now on this lap, I think, to go green. You can see it's still very much raining. There are a few more droplets of rain on the screen. But I keep asking my engineer, you know, what's the weather saying? What's the tyre status? You know, is it going to be swap over soon? He keeps saying, no, it still looks like we're on the right tyre. Stay on dries. There's no point coming in. You know, the rain's falling, but he's not talking about it settling on circuit. So at this moment in time, we're going to continue on. Everyone is on these mediums and the Ferraris on hards, and we'll just keep going. The track is getting a little bit damp, but it's not too noticeable, thankfully, at the moment. But visually, it is definitely on your screen, as you can see a big blob of rain right there as I go towards the apex. We make an overtake on Alonso. We have that usual annoying glitch where it gives me an illegal overtake, so I have to try and actually wait to finish off the move on Alonso on the next right-hander, but we do get up into 4th place. So that safety car has helped us out quite a fair bit to now maybe be in a frame for a podium, as you could see there on the bottom right. Again, I'm just constantly asking my engineer, tyre status, weather condition, and he keeps just saying the same stuff. It still dries. Don't think about inters yet. So kind of giving me Sao Paulo 2012 vibes, where it looks wet, but it's a lot drier than it looks, as Ricciardo gets back into the lead. Maybe, oh, him and Ocon bang tyres. The two Renault teammates, remember, back in 2020. Bang tyres, no love lost between them. Ricciardo into P1, and Ocon's gone so slowly. He's backed up Norris into us. And now, can we make the move on our championship rival? Yes, we can, and we'll do one better. We'll go down the inside of Ocon as well. All of a sudden, it could be a 1-2 for this team. Ricciardo P1, we're in second, but Lando gets ahead of the Alpine, and that Red Bull is looking pretty ominous in these conditions. I think the Red Bull team has the most downforce of any team here currently on the grid, so no surprise they've got so much grip, and Lando is down the inside of us. We're side by side through the next right-hander. It will be side by side for this entire sphere section, and this is the blind left-hander coming up, which is very, very awkward, and I brake a little bit early, a bit too early actually, because I was so worried about where on earth we were meant to start slowing down the car, and so Lando's jumped us there, as I wasn't just as confident as I usually would be, because as you can see, visually it's getting wetter, and feeling wise, at least for me, I don't know about the AI, but for me it's definitely feeling a lot more slippery out there around this circuit as we get back past Lando Norris with DRS actually in a straight line. Obviously the rain's no bother, we've still got some great straight line speed, so we make it a 1-2 once again for this team. But I'm starting to wonder what's going on with the strategy, because our pit window's open. Lap 12, my engineers told me to come in, but I don't want to come in yet, because you know, we're going to look like fools if we come in for dries, and then it's going to be intermediates within like 2-3 laps. But it looks like behind us, Ocon's come in, so let's see what tyre he goes on to. At the moment, myself, Ricciardo and Lando, we've all stayed out. Bottas and Gasly as well staying out, so we're just going to keep on going and kind of play a bit of a stubborn game. But with every lap we continue, the track is getting worse and worse, and through this left-hander, I just go way too hot. We narrowly miss making some contact with that yellow wall. That would have been a bit of damage to our front wing, so quite glad to keep our nose out of it, but that also has meant we've had to concede the position to Lando once again, so we're down to third as we avoided a bit of a foolish crash, a very slow one that would have been, to be honest, as now this car is skating about. We're going to go maybe for a half little lunge on the inside. Lando loses the back end as well in the Red Bull, so he's feeling a bit of lack of grip. It's definitely time for Inters in like the next 2 laps. Surely. The amount I'm starting to struggle now. I know the AI aren't. I mean, they're a bit too perfect on this game, I feel, in these transition periods as we now fly back past Norris with DRS. A little bit shaky, though, as he's very, very aggressive, and I'm just so early on the brakes because I don't have any confidence anymore under braking with the amount of water on the circuit, and we have a big tank slapper for good measure. Lando's going to come in. We're going to continue on because I think he's coming in for DRIES. Ricciardo's in, and yeah, they come in for DRIES. Lap 14, Ricciardo, Ocon, Norris, all pit for hard tyres. Sainz and Tsunoda, they're on mediums right now. I think they had already pit earlier, maybe. I don't know what's happened there because Sainz was definitely not on mediums at the start of this race, so I think he maybe pit under the safety car, to be fair, and got a free pit stop. But I'm still asking my team, what should we do? And I'm not getting many answers. We're getting, this light rain is going to be here for a while, but nothing about should we change over. I mean, Mark's saying he doesn't think it's quite time for Inters. So I'm just continuing on because I feel like eventually, surely, this is going to be intermediate tyre time. And I may as well stay out because I'm now 10 seconds ahead of Ricciardo. He's starting to gain on us rapidly, though. That's the thing. Very, very confusing. Within 2 laps, Sainz catches me. I'm making so many errors now because the track is too damp now. I actually want to come in onto Inters now on this lap. But the AI, they're driving around. Absolutely no issues. We're locking up. We're going wide here again. Sainz overtakes us on the outside here. We're going to try and battle him, but he actually gives us a little bit of a love tap and shoves us off to the right-hand side. So Sainz now legitimately leads the race because I think he pit under the safety car, I'm pretty sure. We're in second. Ricciardo has now bridged a 10-second gap to me in these conditions. Yeah, albeit probably because he's got fresh hard tyres. I've got some very warm mediums, but I'm still very confused how none of the AIs seem to be struggling with the actual wet weather going on here, and I definitely think it's time for intermediate. So Ricciardo's going to come chasing after us. We won't put up too much of a fight because we don't need to versus our own teammate, but I think on the end of this lap, we're going to come in for Inters. I mean, look at the spray kicking off these cars now. I think it's time. I think it's going to be another Portimao situation from that episode where the AI are stubborn, they stay on the DRIES, and I'm going to be so much quicker on intermediate. So we're going to come in, I think, for the green wall tyre. It's a gamble of our own because no one else is doing this, but I'm just going to do what I want to do because if we try and do what the AI are doing or keep up with them, we're just going to be put into a hard position because they're clearly a bit too pin perfect in these changeable conditions on dry tyres on a clearly damp, wet track. We've got others maybe coming in as well behind me, to be fair, so we'll see if others join me on the Inters, but we come in, green wall out in probably P17 it looks like. Yeah, P17 just ahead of the 2 Saubers. We actually got Leclerc ahead of us 3 seconds. So Leclerc's had a pretty miserable time here at Las Vegas, down in P16. He hasn't even been inside the top 10 this entire race. So this is the time for us to now push and see if we can try and get an undercut, because at some point, I'm banking on these guys having to pit for Inters. Surely they have to. Sainz still leads the way then from Ricciardo. Alonso just overtook Ocon there in Sector 2. The wily old fox dancing his Aston Martin up into a podium spot right now. Norris is in P5, so doing all right, but still struggling a little bit. And you've got so many cars close together here. just outside the top 10 with Hamilton and Bottas, the old teammates, battling away for the wooden spoon P11 outside the points. But Ocon may come back at Alonso. Ricciardo definitely is coming back at Carlos Sainz. And for I think the third or fourth time, Ricciardo making an overtake on the main straight. And this is for the legitimate lead of the race. Ricciardo, doesn't matter if he gets jumped in the pits by Sainz with a free pit stop. He's got the pace, he's got the confidence today, and it looks like he's really loving his first time in Las Vegas as he leads the way once again. Sainz in second place then. Ocon stays ahead of Alonso then and manages to hold him off. There's a crash in Sector 3. It's right there. Tsunoda's out. Tsunoda's been put into the wall, and there's a red flag now because the car is in a very awkward position. I think it was the Williams of Liam Lawson crashing into Tsunoda there and put him in the wall, probably skating with the wet conditions. And so it's a red flag, and my engineer is recommending me the full wet tyres then. So clearly there's been enough time elapsed in this red flag that we're actually getting towards monsoon weather. Look at that electric shock icon there. That means monsoon rain, just like we had in Season 1 as we get going for What? My team's put DRIES on! What are you doing? What? We're on media! Oh my god! Lights out, away we go! 5 laps to go in the Las Vegas Grand Prix, and my team have put DRIES on. The red flag strategy has glitched to no end here, because on the left-hand side on the screen you just saw before we went to 5 red lights, you can clearly see on the left it says full wet tyres. So I looked at that and thought, okay, cool. They want us to put full wets on. I saw the monsoon rain icon. It all made sense. I thought, great idea. Maybe some others will go on to Inters so we can benefit when the monsoon rain starts falling inevitably at the very end of this race. Calm. But you can see on the right, what I didn't notice was it's glitched, and even though it says full wets on the left, it's showing mediums on the right to the end of the race. Great, fantastic, great game. So yeah, this is us now. We're doing the dry tyres on a wet track challenge around Las Vegas, and it's not going well. Oh my god, they put DRIES on. Oh, it's game over. It's game over. Well, that's our race done, because I'm gonna have to trundle back to the pits now. And I'm going to put on the full wets. Everyone is on Inters at the moment, but there was definitely an icon for monsoon rain there. So if it's going to come, we might be able to maybe make a comeback if everyone has to come in on like the last lap or the second last lap for full wet. So we're going to come in now and go in for the full wets. I've already lost a lot of time though, 5 seconds to the last car in the pack, which is Perez there. So we're still going to have to make some miracles happen. At the same time, though, in all this chaos, in the red flag period, Lando Norris is retired. He's DNF'd. I don't think he was DNF'd before the red flag period. So I don't know whether he just crashed like on the 5 red lights or something. I don't know what happened, but from pre-red flag to post-red flag, Lando's retired. He had a car issue, obviously, in Spa, so maybe his team retired his car in the red flag period, which is something I didn't know could happen, but probably is the case, because I didn't see where he DNF'd from. So, yeah, he's out of the race. So, even though I've got no points on the board today, with P19 here in lap 22, Lando's also got 0 points. So the only person in the championship fight benefiting from this, after all of the chaos that's happened, is Charles Leclerc, who is in P9 at the moment as we watch Carlos Sainz in second place, chasing after Ricciardo in P1. 2 laps to go. Ricciardo's slow. Oh, no, don't tell me. Oh, he's going so slow. I think he's got an issue. Sainz is into the lead. Alonso up into second. Ricciardo's pulling up, and there's smoke coming out of his car in his debut, in his first race at the Las Vegas Grand Prix. Ricciardo goes from leading the race, probably winning the race, as Hamilton has a crash in the wall. He's gone from leading the race to retiring from the Grand Prix. And it's going to be Carlos Sainz, the Spaniard, taking it for Ferrari, winning here in Las Vegas. It's going to be a double podium for the Alpine boys out of nowhere. Ocon, Gasly in second and third. third. We've got Leclerc finishing in 7th place. He's the highest man out of the three of us in the championship fight, as Norris obviously retired at the red flag, and we come home in P16. Miserable time.
Well, what a drive that was to take the win for Ferrari today. Here come our winners now, a thrilling race and a tremendous effort by Ferrari. Their history is well known, so it's no surprise to fans the world over to see them come out on top once again.
And we're 2 for 2 for very chaotic Las Vegas GPs. Last time was 2 red flags and some mad spins for the leaders. This time round it was the very weird and changeable, questionable conditions of going on to inters, then maybe monsoon weather. That never came. It seemed like all the forecasts for the weather this race weekend were just wrong in-game on the weather indicator. And then that awful glitch, which absolutely duped me. Like, why would you say full wet tyres if you're actually going to put mediums on? Like, I would have understood if it said mediums, and you know, if I missed it, it was my fault. But it said the words full wet tyres, so I was none the wiser. I didn't look at the graph. I just looked at the tyre compound that was selected, which was full wet. And also the monsoon icon, so I thought it just made sense to go on to full wets. So I thought my engineers and the game was doing me a favour by putting me on the right tyre. So in the end of it then, we scored 0 points, Lando Norris scores 0 points, Leclerc picks up a P7, and that means he is now in 2nd place in the championship. 10 points off me. Lando 1 point off, further off then in P3. So it's game on. It is a 3-way title fight between myself, Charles Leclerc, and Lando Norris. And in the constructors, it is absolutely game on between ourselves and Scuderia Ferrari. They're only 2 points behind us now after that double no points finish for us today. And obviously Sainz won the race and Leclerc got P7. So it is game on. We're fighting the prancing horses for the constructors, and we're fighting Leclerc and Lando for the Drivers' Championship. Only 3 rounds to go. We're 10 points ahead. It is crunch time. Guys, if you have enjoyed this one, hit the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.